10,000 subscribers. Yes! This is awesome, guys. Thank you so much to every one of you guys who's watched videos. Thank you to everyone who has clicked the like button on videos. Thank you to everybody who has commented on a video. Thank you so much to all my research partners on Patreon. Thank you so much to each and every person who has sent ammo, who has sent gear or equipment, who has sent funds in order to buy some of this gear and equipment that we use. This channel would not be possible, could not have gotten to this point today without you guys, without your help and support, especially early on. The first and second year when the revenue coming in was essentially zero. I was going based on nothing but sheer encouragement, enthusiasm, and your support. So guys, I really thank you so much. I've got a whole list of frequently asked questions here that I'm going to go through that you guys have asked, either these questions exactly or you've asked similar questions many times in many different ways, and I've boiled them down into this list. Now, if you don't hear your question answered, I did a frequently asked questions video about a year ago. I will link to that one down below and at the end of this video if you want to see that one. But I just wanted to answer some of the questions that are coming in so often. Again, thank you guys so much for all your support for the channel. Number 2 question, why don't you shoot 3 to 5 shot groups when you do your pattern testing? Well, guys, the answer to this question is very pragmatic. Every time I pull the trigger doing a pattern test, it costs about $3 to $5. All right, the cost is calculated by one, you have the cost of the shell, whatever the ammo is. Of course, if it's TSS, it costs a lot more than that. You've got the cost of the gigantic paper that I use. That stuff is not cheap. You have the cost of the reactive targets. That is not cheap. I have to build and rebuild and buy new and assemble new target stands to hold all this paper and targets. Those are not cheap. There's clips and there's tape and other things involved, also not cheap. And then there's some behind the scenes costs as well, having to do with equipment, range fees, and so on. And so to test one shell with one shot on a pattern board costs maybe $3 or $4. If I'm going to do 5, then all of a sudden the video becomes a lot more expensive. And if I'm testing 2, 3, 4 kinds of ammo or 5 or 8 or 9 choke tubes in a video, the cost becomes outrageous, and also the time factor. It takes so much time to set up each one of those shots and then to do the targets and count everything that it's just not worth it. When I go to the range, I've got to get about 3 videos in on the average day. I do not shoot in my backyard. Hopefully one day I will be blessed with enough space to be able to do that. But I've got to go into the range, and that takes a lot of time, takes a lot of setup, focus, and so on. And so it's just not economical. People say, George, why don't you shoot 5 shots at the same paper and then average them? Well, guys, that does not get us the same result that you might think it does. That does give us an average pattern, even if we think we can control perfectly for movement. But what I'm testing is the best potential pattern of that shell. So the average pattern in a 30-inch circle, which is going to vary some, is not the same as the best potential pattern, which has to be measured one shot, one paper. Shooting 3 to 5 shots at a paper is very good for a number of different things you may want to do, but for what I'm testing specifically, it is not a very good option. Next frequently asked question, George, why don't you do chronograph testing? I don't have a chronograph. Hoping to buy one this year, though. Next question. Why doesn't your channel have more subscribers? Your content is way better than stuff much larger channels are putting out. You should have 500,000 subscribers or more. Now, I did not make that question up, and it has not just been asked 1 or 2 or 3 times. A lot of times this question has come up. How are you just hitting 10,000 subscribers today? People have said all kinds of nice things, how my content is in some way better than much larger channels. Well, I'm not competing with any larger channels. All right, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in my lane, I'm in my niche. I like what they're doing, most of them. I like their niches. I think we can all get along and have fun and respect each other. How come this channel has grown slower? The only thing that I can theorize is, one, I had no idea what I was doing when I started, although I guess that's probably true for everyone else. Two, a lot of my content is really niche. All right, we're really focusing in on some specifics having to do with pattern testing, ballistics testing, not often known or talk about information. Every now and then I veer into broader topics, but I'm really trying to generate specific, effective learnings for waterfowl hunters, turkey hunters, upland game hunters, even deer hunters, and other kind of hunters. So we really focus in and go deep on some subjects. I believe that as more and more people see the videos, that the appreciation for this deep dive, very specific content is going to grow. And honestly, I think the videos have a cumulative effect. You may not use all the different ammos or chokes or things that I test in these videos, but you build upon this wealth of knowledge that makes you more well-knowledged and rounded as a hunter. And so I do appreciate everyone that's helped us reach this mark, and I hope we hit 20,000 and 50,000 subscribers way faster than we did this first 10. Next question. Will you be making any videos with 20 or 28 gauge shotguns in the future? Well, guys, I would love to. Right now, I have several 12 gauge shotguns and one 16 gauge that doesn't really work. It's more of a collector's item. And so I want to get a 20, a 28, and even a 410 at some point in the future. But I don't know if you knew this, but shotguns cost a lot of money. And more money than the shotguns are the choke tubes, are all the ammo. You could not imagine all the different 12 gauge shells that I have lying around in piles and boxes. All right, I got 2 of this and 3 of this and a box. I bought a box of 25 because it's the only way to get them, and I shot 2. And I've got so much stuff that it's easy for me to do 12 gauge stuff. If I move into other gauges, I've got to build all this stuff up again and find space for it. But I do intend to do it, and hopefully we'll be doing it soon, maybe within the next year or so. Next, we're going to move into some speed questions that I hear all the time in the comments, and I'm just going to answer them once and for all here, so I don't have to answer them every single time they come up. All right, are those eyebrows real? Yes, they are. Are you really a yuppie living in your mom's basement? No. Is your hair really that greasy? You've just been banned from the comments. Have you really even hunted a day in your life? Yes. Why don't you just man up and shoot 3.5-inch shells? Now, the kind of people that ask that kind of question are the same kind of people that hand a 12 gauge loaded with turkey shells to a 10-year-old and laugh as they knock themselves over on the ground before saying something like, "That's what it's like to be a man," or some other nonsense. And I refuse to participate in the testosterone-induced delusion that is driving people from our sport and costing people more birds than it's helping them to get. Which is why I did 2 entire videos on that subject, which I will link to down below in the comments. Next question. Why are you always yelling at the camera? Well, my background and heritage is Greek. I am a trained professor and a preacher. All right, high energy and high volume is kind of my style. I do not do the slow, quiet, monotone, nice pace of other YouTube channels. I am not Gun Blue 490, though he is one of my absolute favorite YouTubers, and I love his style. It's not my style, and I can't pretend to be someone that I'm not. So the energy and the enthusiasm level are probably here to stay. I don't know if you guys knew, but you could turn down the volume on the videos to make it as quiet as you want. If you don't like the energy level, I am sorry. It's about the best that I can do. Next question. Why are you always so close to the camera? How come you're not back here somewhere where we can see more of your body and your moving hands? Well, guys, I've shot basically almost every single video on this channel with a GoPro. And the GoPro has a built-in microphone, and I need to be close enough to it in order to pick up the volume and pick up all the nuances of what I'm saying. If I go all the way back there, some of the words just won't be audible, it won't come through, it won't be loud enough. I'll have to boost the volume, and then you'll get a lot more ambient noise. And so because of the camera, that is basically the best that I can do. I am hoping at some point in the future to get a proper camera that's got some audio capability so I can have an off-board lapel mic. You maybe have seen some review videos that I do on high wind days where I'll have a little lapel mic clipped here. That mic is better on windy days than the GoPro mic is, but it's much worse overall as a microphone. So I try to only use it when the conditions demand it. Next question, how can I support the channel? Real question. Beyond the obvious liking videos, subscribing, and becoming a research partner on Patreon, you guys can watch to the end of the videos. That tells YouTube that the content is good, that it hooks you in. More watch time in a video helps YouTube push it out to more people. Another thing you can do is, when reasonable, you can help a channel out by watching the first 30 seconds of ads. Now, I myself skip a lot of the ads, even in my own videos, which I do watch fairly regularly to see some data, some pattern pictures, or other context for information from previous tests, and I will very often skip the ads. Why? I know I'm taking pennies out of my own pocket, but I just cannot stand terrible, irrelevant ads. But when the ad is good, when it's relevant, when it's not terrible, if you'll watch the first 30 seconds, it can help a channel out. So if you missed the last frequently asked questions video, you can check it out right here, as well as one of the most underrated videos on the channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, video after video, month after month. Till next time, God bless you, and go get 'em in the woods.